Hi and welcome to the Tradebox video on integrating Tradebox with Sage 50. Okay, before we get started, I just want to take you to our website, tradebox.uk.com. Come to integrations, scroll down to Sage and go to videos and guides. Okay, you'll find some really useful articles and videos here. The one thing that you do need to look at before you even look at creating a connection between Tradebox and Sage is configuring Sage 50 for use with Tradebox. This covers all of the things like third-party integration and all of the things about usernames and passwords and just some of the general configuration that we recommend. What you'll also notice is there's a further article setting up Sage integration. If we click on that, that's going to take you to the help desk and it gives you all of the information about creating a connection between Tradebox and Sage and covers in a lot more detail than I can do in the video a lot of the individual features that are available to you. Okay, so let us go back to Sage. Just to show you what I've got within Sage. In the invoice list, we have a blank invoice list. We have no sales orders. If I go to the customer section, you'll see that I've got some default customers set up. Again, this is all covered in the Sage config video. I'm going to be creating an import from our website, so I do need a generic customer for the web sales, regardless of whether I'm going to create individual customers or not. Bank accounts I've got set up, and this will become more apparent as we go forward. But just to kind of show you, there's no transactions within Sage. It's a complete blank set. Okay, back to Tradebox then. You can see that we have a channel already set up. There is no Sage integration set up for this channel, and the indication for that is this little link at the end is populated if we do have an accounts integration set up. What I do have though is I do have some orders that we've already downloaded. You can see we've got 30 orders here, all dated 25th of January. And if we look at the right hand column under the accounts number column, you can see they all have a value of 0. So that shows me that they haven't actually been posted to an accounts package, in this case Sage. In the channels list, we're going to create a connection. Before we do that, I'm just going to quickly go to maintenance and preferences. And just an important option here, it shows you that the account software is linked with Sage 50 and that we're going to get our inventory from the account software. There are options to do your inventory from Tradebox or to do no inventory at all. In this example, we're using the account software. And that basically means that we will take the data directly from Sage and pull it into Tradebox and use all of those settings for products such as tax codes and SKUs based upon what's within Sage. Okay, let's go and create an accounts link. First thing we do is we go to the channel. The accounts integration resides within each individual channel that you have set up within the software. So if you're connecting to your website, eBay and Amazon, you'll have 3 channels. You'll have to go and create the accounts integration in each of those channels. Double click, go straight to the accounts tab. And in the accounts tab, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to choose a company from the drop-down list. And you'll see that the logon name, TB user and TB service get pre-populated. These are prerequisites that are covered within the Sage configuration guide. I'm going to put the password in for each of those users and click on connect. Okay, so this has taken us to the first tab. We're going to walk through some of these settings, and when we're finished, we're going to click on next. It'll take us to the next tab until we're finished, and that will be the accounts integration setup. So the first thing is to currencies. We have the currency of the sales we've imported, and then how we want to post them to Sage. Because all of my sales are in GBP for this particular channel, I get no choice but to post them to Sage in GBP. If they were in a foreign currency, I would have the option to either post them to Sage in GBP, which would require Tradebox to convert them to GBP using the very latest conversion rate, or indeed we could post them across to Sage in the foreign currency itself, which would require foreign trader turned on in Sage. The next thing we're going to do is decide what kind of entry we want to create within Sage. And the options we've got are product invoices, service invoices, so no connection to stock, sales orders, or summary entries. And very much what we choose here dictates what is left within this wizard. So for example, if I choose summary entries, you'll see a lot of the options disappear. And that's because we are offering two types of integration here. One, if we go back to say product invoices, is a granular integration where we're creating an individual invoice in Sage for every individual order that we import from your online sales channel. Whereas a summary entry is basically allowing the software to gather together all of your sales over a given period and to break them down by VAT liability and also payment method and sales channel, and then post the minimum amounts across as a batch invoice directly against the customer account. So for this demonstration, we will do product invoices. Next thing it's going to ask me is post receipts as. So basically, when we create the invoice in Sage, after it gets posted to the ledgers, do we want to pay it off by creating a sales receipt? And what will happen there is, depending upon the payment method, we will post different invoices to different bank accounts in Sage. I'm going to skip through the next options, things like default departments, invoice order date. All of this is covered within the article that we looked at earlier. Over on the right hand side, you've got further options, things like creating purchase orders. So if you're doing drop shipping or if you're doing just-in-time sales, you can get Tradebox to create purchase orders to suppliers. So they can either actually dispatch the item directly to the customer if you're a dropship operation, or send it back to you directly if you're doing just-in-time sales. We can process bombs, other things like adding messages to the lines, update invoices to the ledgers. So this is a relatively new option where we can create your invoices and post them to the ledgers straight away if you wish us to do that. Another option here is the don't post orders prior to. So all of my orders in Tradebox have a date of the 25th. So I'm just going to change that to the 20th of the 1st, 2018, and then we're going to click on next. Okay, next thing we're going to deal with is customers. So for every channel you create within Tradebox, you need to allocate that channel to a default customer within Sage, regardless of whether you're going to create individual customers in Sage for every unique buyer or not. So I will choose a customer. I'm going to choose web sales. You'll notice that the ones in red aren't available for me to choose because they're not in the currency that we're posting in. The ones in green are in the currency we're posting. I'm going to choose web sales. And then going back to the option above, I can then choose to either just use that single existing default customer or create individual customers for each unique buyer. So we'll still create individual invoices in Sage in the name and address of the buyer. But if you do opt for the single default customer, then when you update those invoices, they will just go and sit against one Sage customer account rather than individual accounts. If you are going to do individual customers, there are some default settings here for how you're going to create the account reference, what it's going to be based on, and what it's made up of. There are also options here to auto match to existing Sage customers or to manually match them, doing them by yourself one at a time. And we can do things like set the terms flag on the customer account, etc. I'm going to choose existing single default, which is probably the most popular option that we have. Okay, nominals. So I can choose to put all of my sales across to a nominal account I've set up earlier for website sales, and my carriage going to 4905. If I do have any other source of income, I can put them on here as well. So I'm just going to put that against miscellaneous income. Other sales of income could be things like gift wrapping, for example. By default, if we're doing a product invoice or a sales order, we'll use the nominal on the product record. And if you don't want that to happen, you can choose this box here, which is override product nominal, in which case we will report all of the sales to the nominal in this list. Payments. So of the orders that I've downloaded, we offer PayPal, SagePay, and WorldPay's payment options. And if I just double click on PayPal, you can see that that's been allocated to the 1210 PayPal bank account, and I've ticked that as a post sales receipt. So basically at this point, I'm informing Tradebox which payment methods are going to go to which bank account. Shipping methods, we leave that for the article. And tax codes, basically Tradebox carries its own sets of tax codes, and they are by default mapped to the default Sage tax code. So 0 rated is going to T0, standard rated is going to T1, non-vatable is going to T9, etc. But they can be amended within this grade. Okay, just clicked finish, and it's asking me if I want to import my products. I don't, because I already have them set up in Sage, in Tradebox, sorry. If we're going to save, and Tradebox has then taken me to the statuses box here within the channel, and within the statuses box, it's asking me which order statuses I want to post to Sage. So I'm going to tell it I want to post orders with a status of complete, orders with a status of paid, and orders with a status of dispatched. Okay, you can now see under the link here, we have a tick, which means that we've set up accounts integration. So now basically what is going to happen is the service is going to take over. The service is an application within Tradebox, which sits here within your system tray. And the service's job, it works round in a loop. If we want to have a quick view at what the service is up to at the moment, it basically works round in a loop, downloading your sales, posting them to Sage, updating your stock, and then if you've got Tradebox configured to do so, it can then upload your stock back to your sales channel. Okay, going back to the order list, we can see here that we now have numbers starting to appear. And these are the invoice numbers that Tradebox has been given by Sage. So we present the order to Sage. Sage creates the invoice. Sage gives it an invoice number and then writes it back to Tradebox. And within the order list, we can determine what that is. Okay, it looks like all of them have been done now. Let's pop across to Sage then. Let's refresh this screen. And here are the invoices that have been created. So none of them have been posted to the ledgers at this point. If I just open up an invoice, we've got full information, billing information, all of the individual items. It's calculated the VAT on each individual one, taking into account whether it was a vatable or a non-vatable item. Under the order, we've got the delivery address, we've got the order number, and the payment has been already allocated to a bank account. If we pop across to the banks, none have been populated, and that's because none of these invoices have been posted to the ledgers. But we can see within our invoice list straight away where the order came from a web sale, and the customer order number is the actual website order number. So let's post them to the ledgers. And again, this is something that Tradebox can do for you. If you wish, we can automatically post these invoices to the ledgers upon creation. Okay, so that's the invoices posted. We've got the update ledgers report up here. Click on close. If we now go to the banks, we can see that all of the SagePay invoices have gone to the SagePay Bank, PayPal, and WorldPay. If we want to look at the activity, we can see into the activity that we've got each invoice reference for each invoice that's been posted there. If we look at the products have all been depleted based upon what was on the invoices. And if we go to the nominal section, scroll down, we can see the money appearing on the ledger for the web sales. Okay, so that concludes the video for doing individual invoices across to Sage. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to get in contact, and thanks very much for listening.